Man, oh man, I tell you what, guys. This is something that even Stevie Wonder could have saw coming. So earlier today, the studio behind Highguard announced that they're doing a whole mass layoff of employees, and a lot of people are reacting to this on the internet, and me included. Highguard is a game that I have thought was controversial from the beginning. I thought it was very, very strange of a game. It came out at the wrong time. It got a weird reveal. But overall, in my review, if you ever saw it, I did say that the game was good. I thought the game was okay. It was just mediocre. Unfortunately, I think that is the biggest cardinal sin that you can do in the modern gaming industry. There's a lot of games that are coming out nowadays that are very mediocre. They're very just mid. They're just okay. That's why mid is such an offensive word to people who defend games like this. And to a certain extent, I did personally defend it. A lot of people, close friends of mine, even said that they weren't too impressed by the game. And I also agree with it. I thought this game was just okay. It was just, it was all right. It was made by veteran developers in the industry, people who clearly knew what they were doing. There was a lot of passion behind this game, and it does suck to see something like this fail, even though it happens all the time in the industry that we all are involved in. Never have I ever thought that this game was a Concord 2, and I did make that very clear in my public statements about the game. I thought this game was, at least going to have a future. But clearly that's not what's happening, and a lot of people are being laid off. And we actually found out about this news before Wildlight Entertainment said it themselves. Alex Grainer was one of the former Wildlight employees, and even he said, unfortunately, along with most of the team at Wildlight, I was laid off today. This one really stings as there was a lot of unreleased content that I was really looking forward to that, and I and others designed for Highguard. However, I'm excited for my next adventure. If your team or anyone you know needs an experienced level designer, hit me up. Check out my portfolio here. So clearly these guys are being laid off by the numbers. They are being chopped off the block. They're being shipped off, going to war. The Wild West of trying to find a job in an industry like this. And it's very sad to see. I hate for developers to go through this. These people are losing jobs. They are losing their source of income. They're basically their livelihoods are being messed with by clumsy releases and studio execs and people in the suits who don't quite understand when is the right time to release a game and what type of game that you release. And I think that's the most important part about this whole situation is that Highguard wasn't a bad game. I do not think this game was bad. However, it does suffer from the fact that it came out at the wrong time. You are not Marvel Rivals, and that's the biggest comparison I've always heard is, well, Marvel Rivals came out and it succeeded. Marvel Rivals succeeded only because it was Marvel and it came out during a time in which people were sick of Overwatch. Highguard is going into a very broad, oversaturated genre of hero shooters slash and it felt like a homunculus of all kinds of ideas that could have worked and can still work. But unfortunately, I do believe that this game just did not come out the way it should have. It's a shame that in our current industry, this is what games have become. They either swim or they drown. There's never no coasting. There's never, you're swimming, but you're not doing very well. It's either you sink like a rock or you are like the best of the best. A lot of people do not care to go away from their comfort games, which is totally understandable. It's very human. People want to play with the same toy that they've been playing with for years because that's their favorite toy. It's very hard to get a consumer to want to be invested into your product if they're not sure that they want to, interact with it. And I think Highguard, alongside all these other games that have been coming out and then dying and then studios being shut down and people losing their jobs is a very serious problem in our industry. And I do want indie games to succeed. I think most people want indie games to succeed. But in order for an indie game to succeed, you really got to be original. You got to really try something that's unique and cool, and it will take everybody by the balls. But I think Highguard was not quite that game. It was very buggy when it first came out. It was just an okay game. It was just good. Personal feelings aside, I do really like the game. I play it a lot. You guys know this. I really do like this game. But it's just, matter of fact, this game actually reminds me of Hyperscape. I think Hyperscape is a game that also suffered from the same thing. It came into a genre, it came into a space of video games where everything was already set in stone. People had their games, they did not care. And then Hyperscape comes out, which was a really fun game. It was well designed, it was fun, but it could not swim. It could not exist in an environment like this. And I think that is what's happening to Highguard. If this game succeeds in the future, I surely hope it does. I never want to see people's games or art to be hated and lambasted and just absolutely torn apart. I think this game does have a lot of artistic value. I think it's a really cool game, and it has some fun aspects. It's a little unoriginal, but it can build to something bigger. But with these layoffs, it's not looking good. And unfortunately, I think the studio behind the game and the game itself may not survive.